And joining us to unpack the latest in trade negotiations is Rod D. Martin, the founder and CEO of Martin Capital. Rod, thank you so much for joining us. Always great to see you. Now, Treasury Secretary Bessent said the talks with his Chinese counterparts were, quote, very good, and that the escalation in tariffs on China was effectively off the table. First, what do you make of this and what it means for the expected talks between Trump and Xi?
Well, first, I want to just point out that Scott Bessent is possibly the most effective Treasury Secretary we've had in my lifetime, and certainly an able negotiator. So it doesn't surprise me that he was effective in Malaysia. This had to be effective for both China and the United States. China is in a box. There's just no getting out of the fact that they've built their entire economy on exports, and we are the largest consumer market in the world. There is no possible combination of countries that can replace the U.S. market. They did this craziness a couple weeks ago, threatening with rare earths. That was a negotiation stunt. That actually, in some measures, was a page out of The Art of the Deal. And I don't blame them for that at all. But now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I think we're going to get the deal that the president and Treasury Secretary Bessent hoped for. And we'll see that in coming days.
On the other side, Chinese trade envoy Li Chenggang telling media that talks covered a range of issues from export controls, Section 301 port fees, tariff suspension, etc. He also indicated a consensus on fentanyl. How are you reading his remarks? How likely are we to see the 20% fentanyl-related tariff on China reduced?
Well, I think that's going to be key because as things stand, as you know, China is imposing a 30% tariff on the United States. We're imposing a 55% on them, and 20 of that is fentanyl. They have to get serious about it. It is as though they are waging their own opium war against the United States. And the United States did not fight the opium war against China. So it's entirely misplaced, but it also has to stop. And there are things we can do with the Mexicans and things we can do with Canada, but China actually has to stop shipping the precursors for fentanyl, and they have to stop now. I think we'll see a big push on that, and I think we'll get it done.
Now, President Trump has said in the past that he would bring up the case of imprisoned Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai. Now, human rights have often fallen to the wayside during trade talks with China in the past. How likely are we to see a focus on human rights abuses by China this time?
I think we have a decent chance of it. This president has been extremely intent on human rights. You saw that with the release of the Christian pastor in Turkey during his first term. You've seen it with his efforts to get hostages released in various parts of the world. I think we'll see that here too. And it's got to be part of a comprehensive deal. If we're going to get to a point where we can have normalized trade relations with China, they're going to have to actually play ball on this too.
And expanding on that, rare earths, fentanyl, and soybeans, of course, have been making headlines lately when it comes to trade with China. I want to first play a soundbite from President Trump on Air Force One Saturday.
Mr. President, can you talk about what you hope to walk away from with the meeting with President
China?
Xi? Yes. What are you hoping to walk away?
I think a complete deal. I want our farmers to be taken care of, and he wants things also. We're going to be talking about fentanyl, of course. Fentanyl is killing a lot of people. It comes from China, and we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about a lot of things. I think we have a really good chance of making a very comprehensive deal.
President Trump talking about a comprehensive deal there. In your view, what would be in a comprehensive deal?
Well, it certainly would include agriculture. There's no question. We're one of the world's largest food exporters. They are one of the larger food importers. It's just nonsense that they wouldn't be buying from us. And if they really want to integrate these economies in a way that is lasting and serves the interests of both countries, that's got to be on the table. So the president's focus is entirely correct. I think we'll see that out of the Chinese as well.
And Rod, taking a step back here, many have been calling out China's unfair trade practices over the years and its history of breaking promises. Now, if a deal is reached this time, what type of enforcement do you see the U.S. adding to ensure that China follows through? What would accountability look like here?
Well, it'll be more interesting to see what happens after this president is no longer in office. But as long as this president is in office, if they cheat, he's just going to smack them with 100% tariff or whatever pops into his head that he thinks will be effective. They really must not play games with this president. He means business and he will enforce his deals. So it may be a bit unpredictable, but it will be effective.
Well, Rod Martin, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.